Hello everybody, I'm the Basement Reviewer, and back in live action. Let me tell you, man, it is great to be able to move my arms again. I have legs now. It's great. It's great. In honor of going back to basics, because this is basics for me. This is what I used to do before I went to the Avatar. But in honor of that, I've decided to do a little theme month. Treat y'all to a little bit of Nickvember once again. So, for those of you who don't know, which I'm guessing is a lot of you, Nickvember was a theme month back in 2017 I did, where I reviewed 4 consecutive Nickelodeon properties. Pretty self-explanatory. Nickvember, pun off of Nick in November. This year, I'm going to do the exact same thing. Exact same way. Let's do it. So here's the catch with this. I'm not doing any kind of connections. No, there's no theme to what I'm reviewing here. It's just 4 picks that I found interesting from Nickelodeon. So let's go ahead and get into it, shall we?
Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon.
Alright, well, you know, it would not be a Nickelodeon theme month without a little bit of Spongebob. You know, the most popular cartoon character on the network possibly ever. One that every other show on the network is forced to compete with in a never-ending battle that they cannot win. Yeah, you know, that guy, the little yellow sponge you can't escape. What am I even going on about? You don't need an introduction to SpongeBob. You already know who this character is. You've seen the episodes. You've seen the memes. In fact, reviewing SpongeBob in and of itself has gotten a little cliche. Actually, not even a little. It's gotten a lot cliche. Anyway, so let's review SpongeBob. As I said earlier, SpongeBob's a bit cliche, so I haven't reviewed it in a while because I wanted to do some other things. I didn't want to just fall in the trap of being mostly a SpongeBob reviewer like a lot of other guys have. But it's been so long at this point, I think it's about high time that I check on the little yellow sponge again. So let's go and go see what he's up to.
11 minutes later.
What did I just watch? That was not an episode. That was just random stuff happening with an occasional goofy expression. Look, I get it. It's for kids. I really do, but come on, you can do better than that. You know what? No, I don't care that it's just for kids. Because that is not a good excuse. I understand that a kid might find this funny, but a good kid show should appeal to the adults who might be watching as well. A good kid show shouldn't be absolutely unbearable for an adult audience. They're going to be watching too, pretty much all the time. You want an example? You want a show that does this right? Try older SpongeBob. Even though it may have seemed annoying to older viewers, it was not unbearable. This is just pure, unadulterated nonsense. A hyperactive oversensation for the eyes, done with no tact, no care, just more SpongeBob. Gotta make more SpongeBob. Nick needs more SpongeBob. Nick needs that money, so gotta have more SpongeBob. Wow. Not 3 minutes in and I'm already losing my cold. Perhaps I should give some more context on this not so good episode. The episode I took a look at was Squidferatu, and it certainly is one of the episodes of all time. It starts with Squidward gassing a bunch of sea urchins. He also gasses the mailman, you know, who speaks like a Pokemon.
Mailman!
Not the eyes, not the eyes. Okay, so this is just a personal thing for me. It's not really a criticism, but I hate slapstick that has to do with eyes. Maybe it's just me, but it just feels really gross. It feels wrong. Mailman here is a good example of one of my main criticisms, though. The animation. Don't get me wrong. From a technical standpoint, this animation is really good. It's really smooth, really nice. However, everything kind of moves too much, in my opinion, and maybe this is a little unfair. Maybe this isn't right, but in my opinion, everything seems a little too overly animated, if that makes sense, and it gets kind of distracting. I know it's for kids, but is there no better way to entertain them than you know the animation equivalent to jiggling keys in their face? Squidward receives the wrong mail. The mail meant for Nosferatu, and he decides to throw it away, but SpongeBob stops him because tampering with mail is punishable by banishment.
You have to deliver it yourself. Otherwise, it'd be a federal crime. And I'll be an accessory.
They decide that they need to deliver Nosferatu his mail. After all, that way they don't have to go to the Himalayas. But now you see what I mean about the animation, though? I mean, every frame, SpongeBob is in some new goofy pose. And, like, functionally it works. Like, he's moving like he should. But it's so much. Am I the only one who's annoyed by this? If I am, I understand. I'll take that. Either way, SpongeBob has to come along because, the thing is, so he comes along because...
But you are carrying the mail.
One little letter, no problemo.
Hold on, there's more.
Squidward doesn't want to carry the mail. Now, Squidward trying to get SpongeBob to deliver the mail, that would actually be funny and in character. If Squidward didn't want to go, if he wasn't trying to go as well. If he had tricked SpongeBob into delivering the mail to get out of it, and then receive some kind of punishment afterwards, I can see that working. As it is, Squidward shows SpongeBob all the mail, and Squidward explains just how happy Nosferatu is going to be.
And somebody is going to be very happy to get all their mail. Somebody named Nosferatu.
Okay, now this is a Butch Hartman style joke. One of the running jokes. No, where they spam the same joke over and over again. This joke isn't a bad joke per se. In fact, I've seen it work in a different setting. But they don't really change it, so it gets repetitive. Either way, we now have our setup. Sponge and Squid have to take the mail, and we follow their journey.
Well, this is the address.
Ooh, that castle is so high. Yeah.
Never mind, they end up right at the address. And, yeah, I guess that's another issue, actually. The pacing in this episode is really wacky. Everything feels like it's too fast and too slow at the same time. Jokes will drag on. More about that later. But they just gloss over plot beats. It's like they've got that all backwards. From my point of view, jokes can be paced a variety of ways. But the safest bet is usually to keep simple jokes snappy. This avoids running for too long. If a joke requires a lot of setup, or if it is being told too slowly, it needs to be a dang good joke. Otherwise, it's just, boring. And that's the last thing you want to be when you're really good comedy. But this modern SpongeBob, their writing staff isn't exactly up to snuff on that stuff. And I'm not trying to insult them there. Writing comedy is very difficult. It can be hard to write comedy because everyone's humor is subjective. Even this, with what I'm saying here, is entirely subjective. It's all my opinion. And other people might find this really funny, but my bigger issue is plot points are a bit weird in this. Now, I gotta say this. Plot points are tricky when it comes to pacing. You typically want them a bit slower because this gives the audience enough time to understand what's going on. But you don't want every plot point to be slow. You kind of want to have some be faster, some be slower. And you want to basically build up speed as it goes. This creates a natural flow to the story that makes everything go out really satisfying. SpongeBob is, of course, a pure comedy. So I don't expect a masterclass of storytelling in it. But I do expect a functioning plot. Even a simple framing device could work in some scenarios. But the pacing in this episode just makes it feel like stuff happening. Nothing really flows naturally. I honestly think that this is the biggest problem with this episode, and a lot of modern episodes actually have it, I've noticed. The pacing is just weird. And they meet this weird old fish who is really over-animated, and he gives them a warning.
I beg you, do not go to the castle. The master is a vampire. He means to suck your blood.
Unfortunately, he gets hit by a horse and carriage, making him, an ultimately pointless character who solely exists to deliver a poorly conceived joke. R.I.P. fish that I don't know the name of. Gone too soon.
Right. I'm sorry, I don't have any spare change.
Don't go to the castle! Don't go to the castle! Don't go!
He dies. They get to Nosferatu's castle, and okay, I can't keep ignoring it. This episode is clearly made in reference to the earlier episode Graveyard Shift, as it uses Nosferatu from that episode. I mean, technically Nosferatu is from a really old movie, but that's not important. The important part is how this affects the episode. You see, in Graveyard Shift, he was meant as a simple gag. A short ending stinger, never to be seen again, and I think this really works better, because, well, he clashes with the art style in a not particularly funny way. They don't give him any kind of fun personality. They constantly reference the light flickering thing, as that's all they had to go on from the Spongebob episode. And he just serves a role that can be filled by literally anyone else. Any grumpy character could have filled his role. So why use Nosferatu, though? It's not like fans were clamoring for him to return to the series. He's just a one-off gag. Well, it's because modern SpongeBob kind of lives off of its references, and this is not necessarily an insult. I mean, you got the Bubble Guy coming back as this Doodle Bob. Even the Idiot Box makes a grand return. And I want to say this again. I really want to preface this by saying referencing yourself is not always a bad thing, and it's not even bad on its own just reference stuff. But this is it's just useless here. It doesn't really benefit anyone. Furthermore, they don't do anything with the reference. He's not made more interesting or developed. He's just a somewhat grumpy guy. Even the Idiot Box return, as bad as it was, tried to expand the concept and do something. This is just pointless. The only new thing is Slippy, who's creepy, and not in a fun way. Slippy talks like that one lamp from the Brave Little Toaster during the B-movie song.
You see? You never quite know what he's going to do. He's so spontaneous.
Oh, also the sound design around Nosferatu just bugs me. Especially this scene. It just feels wrong somehow. I can't quite put my finger on it though. Then Slippy and SpongeBob kill Runtime, just goofing off in a not particularly funny way. They need some slapstick here or a joke, something with a punchline. It's just them laughing! Slippy traps them due to severe weather, and Nosferatu offers them dinner. And SpongeBob makes a genius pun.
Mind some fine Transylvanian cuisine for a change?
Change? I can make change.
Get it? You see Squidward meant it as indifferent from usual. But SpongeBob said change as in leftover money from a payment. Jokes like this are what keep the sponge at #1. The dinner itself is just a gross equals funny joke. Plus, spiders, so if you're arachnophobic, sorry. Also, not really a fan of Nosferatu's freaky ass tone. I won't lie though, I did find this scene a little funny.
Good night, Nosferatu.
Too bad it's followed by the exact same joke 4 consecutive times. It's the rule of 3s, not 4s, 3s. And even then, it should not be repeated the exact same way every time.
Oops, forgot to brush my teeth. Whoops, forgot to floss.
Huh?
Forgot to wash my head.
Huh?
Whoops, forgot to polish my eyes.
This leads to a chase scene where Nosferatu chases Squidward and Spongebob around his house. Oh, also Squidward gasses Slappy.
Out.
Slappy, sleepy.
Squidward, I know you're in danger, but the Geneva Convention still disallows this. Wait, actually, it probably doesn't if they are underwater. And likely they're in international seas. Now I need to look this up. What do you know? No, turns out, it's in the Marshall Islands, so they're not in international seas. The Geneva Convention does apply. Neat. Anyway, after Courage the Cowardly Dog section and a weird gorilla thing, this plot is literally just things happening. Like I said earlier, it's got no flow. They go through a coffin dance party, and good grief, this whole plot is giving me a headache. You know, I talked about this back in the day, back in my Pickle and Peanut review, way back when, about how having random things does not always equal funny. Random isn't a guaranteed to be funny. This is a big problem in a lot of SpongeBob episodes, especially modern ones. And it's the equivalent of me talking normally, and then I suddenly yell, "Baloney!" at you. It just doesn't work. It just doesn't work, you know? I will admit, though, the wooden steak joke is alright. It had an actual setup and punchline, which is nice. Oh, I also bet you've never heard this joke before.
He's right behind us, isn't he?
Honestly, it would have been more shocking punchline for him to say literally anything else, or at least Nosferatu to be in a less obvious spot. Also, they repeat the exact same joke from Grave Shift that inspired this.
You're not flicking the lights on and off. Then who is? Phantom of the Opera.
I expect an episode of the distant future about the Phantom of the Opera now, and I cannot wait to see it. So that was Squidferatu, and yeah, that was pretty bad. I'm not even going to sugarcoat it. Outside of a couple jokes, nothing in this episode particularly works well. And that's really not something I can usually say. I won't lie to you, I picked this episode somewhat at random. So I was expecting to get a mediocre episode and then have to go find a new one. I was expecting to find a reviewable one on the first go. I have seen other modern episodes. I didn't just watch this one, but this one turned out to be the one that I kind of want to talk about the most. It's not good. It's random equals funny nonsense, stuff like that. It's stuff I've seen before. This is no different from Pickle and Peanut. No different from any other modern SpongeBob episode. It's not bad for kids, but if you're anywhere over the age of, say, 12, I don't see you getting any enjoyment out of this one, and that's something you really can't say about old SpongeBob episodes. It's a tired subject, though, to say that SpongeBob's fallen off. It's overdone at this point, like I said. But with that said, I'm very excited to go over Nickvember. Next week, we're going over another show I covered in 2017's Nickvember. We're going to be talking about The Loud House, particularly the episode Heavy Metal. So I hope to see you there. Until next time, if you like this video, remember to like. If you want to see more, subscribe. I hope you guys have a great day.